So, how does this change the investment scene? Is it curtains for high-profile directors? Joining me now, Suzanne Edmonds from the lobby group UFA, exposing unacceptable financial activities, and business commentator Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz. Suzanne, to you first, how much satisfaction do you take from this today?
Well, I think it's very rewarding, Mark, that the authorities have done their job in dealing with this situation, and certainly that the directors have been found guilty of what was obvious to us, definitely a criminal situation.
So Douglas said he lost his own pension money as well. Do you have any sympathy for him?
Not a lot, no. Because at the end of the day, he would have had to have known what state that company was in if he was a true director of a company.
There was also calls from other investors today for him to be stripped of his knighthood. Is that taking it too far?
Oh no, not at all. I think this would definitely have to happen, and certainly the Prime Minister needs to look at that as soon as he can.
Bernard, is this I was going to say, hints of the French Revolution? I mean, people are revelling in seeing the bigwigs being cut down a peg or two.
Well, when investors lose $3 to $4 billion, this is the biggest financial disaster in New Zealand's history, and no one high profile has been convicted and sent to prison. And so when someone who is very high profile is convicted and may be sent to prison, although the comments from the judge this afternoon suggest that's not going to happen, then people should watch closely. And it's important for investor confidence that people feel the authorities have looked at this and justice is seen to be done.
Is this going to shake up boardrooms? Because quite often companies will put a high-profile person on their board because it looks good, it's good for business. And now what this is showing is if you don't get it right, in fact, you're going to be treated more seriously.
Yes, particularly those who've got a high profile in one area and then move to be a director in a board in another, where they don't necessarily have enormous amounts of expertise or experience.
The other suggestion, I mean, I was talking to their lawyer today, and he was saying, well, OK, have a look at the judgment. I mean, part of this law, it's saying, you know, you didn't even have to know it. You could be maybe a careless businessman and you become a criminal.
Well, when you go onto the board of directors and you act as a guardian for that money that investors have put in there, particularly if your name is the one that's brought in investors, and that's certainly the case here with the directors in Lombard, then you should take responsibility. That's the point of being a director. That's why you get paid all that money. And when you take responsibility, you should be accountable for your actions.
It's part of the problem that people didn't realise that. I mean, that a board is a bit of a perk for some people, as opposed to actually having responsibilities, like you're saying.
Oh, I think Sir Douglas was the Justice Minister, so I'm sure he knew the law very well. But for many directors in finance companies, they're now realising they didn't really know what was going on behind the scenes, and they will feel hard done by, because so much of what was going on wasn't obvious to them and it wasn't obvious to investors. They should have known, though. They should have dug a lot deeper.
Susan Edmonds, how acceptable are financial activities these days? Has it been cleaned up, or are we going to see more of this?
I think that there's definitely been a huge improvement, and we lobbied very hard, as you know, Mark, to push really for big change, and we did get the FMA, and we have seen some very positive moves forward. I just hope that they've done enough and that we haven't got smoke screens up, but, you know, Bernard's right. These guys had responsibilities that they should have been digging deeper and doing a bit more work.
But do you have any sympathy for them? Given the public profile, there'll be a lot of other directors who no one's heard of, no one knows, they slip under the radar. These two are blasted over everywhere.
Yes, but you've got to look at that, Mark, and its reality, and that they were possibly chosen for those positions because of their high profiles, and they didn't turn it down because it was obviously a bit of a glory job as well. So, no, I don't think there's a lot of sympathy around that. And certainly, yes, there's been a lot of other people that have made a lot of similar kind of errors, but at the end of the day, they are high profile, they took the money, they took the responsibility, they just didn't do their homework, and they can't put that back onto the investors at all.
Bernard, you've heard these calls, you know, take the knighthood off Sir Douglas Graham, shades of the head of the Scottish Bank, wasn't it, who's just been stripped. Is that, I mean, do you back that sort of thing?
It's a perfectly reasonable thing to look at. I mean, the Queen stripped Fred Goodwin of his knighthood. He was in charge of Royal Bank of Scotland. This is a case where a former Justice Minister has been convicted of making untruthful statements in prospectuses to investors. That is something that should be looked at. And remember, there are tens of thousands of investors out there who've lost so much money, have no confidence now in New Zealand's investment environment. They want to see justice done, and they want to see people who, even though they have high-priced lawyers and lots of supporters in high places, actually pay the price.
Bernard Hickey and Susan Edmonds in Tauranga, thanks for your time tonight.